Hello, I'm Claire. Welcome to my channel, Clarobobbins. This is Friday Sews. It's lovely to see you all. Welcome back if you're a subscriber, and welcome if it's the first time you've visited my channel. It's lovely to have you along. So I'm sitting in my garden again on a lovely sunny morning. I can't quite believe what a lovely run of weather we've been having in the UK. This must be a record for the start of May to have been able to be outside enjoying this lovely sunshine. So welcome to Cheshire in northwest England, and yeah, welcome to Friday Sews. So today I'm talking about my latest make, the Cashmerette Roseclair dress. It's a fabric wheel of fate make. I have the fabric for my the final make to show you, which if you're a subscriber you've probably seen before. And I have my Specky Seamstress subscription here too. Also a couple of technical things that I've been exploring and experimenting with. So come back in a moment and I'll show you what I've been doing this week. Welcome back. So let's get on with it. The first thing I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about what I'm wearing, which is my new Roseclair dress. It's the Cashmerette Roseclair, and it's the first time I've made it. I talked through, was it last week? I can't remember. It might have been the last Friday Sews. It will say if it's in there. I talked through the changes I made to the bodice, the front bodice. I moved the dart down to move the bust point down and added in some length above the bust. But I didn't alter the overall length of the bodice. I kept this line here the same length by just moving the bust down. I felt that the bodice was about the right length for me. Cashmerette bodices normally are. I did a full bust adjustment then, which does slightly lengthen the front by a smidgen. It's a small full bust adjustment I have to do. I made it in the size 14 GH cup. So with wovens certainly, not always with knits, but with wovens certainly, I need to do a small full bust adjustment. It's about ½ an inch, which of course is an inch in total, because you repeat it mirror image for the other side of the bodice. And I feel that it's a perfect fit around the bust. It doesn't seem to gape at all. It's a little bit, with my microphone being on, that's pulling at it a little bit, but I feel even when I bend down there's no gaping. It feels very, very comfortable. There are two ties either side, so you don't have anything going around the body, so it skims nicely, which I like, and I'll pop in some video and some stills of me wearing it this morning. I didn't finish it until yesterday, which is why this video is a little bit late. Excuse me a moment while I have a drink. Now, I styled the dress. Oh, I'll tell you a bit more about the pattern first. It's a full wrap dress, and there are two options, view A and view B and C. And the view B and C are short, with a choice of sleeve lengths, and view A is a maxi length, so it's ankle length, and it has a bishop sleeve which is cuffed. And I think the sleeve lengths are really just lovely. There are no buttons, there are no plackets. It's very simple construction, very easy to get the sleeves in and to sew them up. They hang really nicely just over my elbows. They don't there's not too much fabric below, so they're not getting in the way. Size wise, I did the size 12 to 32 size, but this also comes, this is a main, it's not a club pattern, it's a main Cashmerette pattern, and it also comes in a size 0 to 16. Now I overlap the two size ranges, but I'm pretty sure that the 12 to 32 size range is designed for a curvier figure. So if I was doing trousers, I'd be wanting to make in the size 0 to 16 range, because my bottom half is very straight and I like the curvy range for my top half. The differences are really quite slight, and it does explain all of the sizing on the Cashmerette website, so have a look there. So really enjoying wearing the dress. So it's great when they fit, when something fits a curvy body. I think it feels like it fits everywhere really well. It's not too big in the shoulders. I've got enough space on my back. I can lift my arms up. Can't do that in a lyra dress. I'm here in a lyra dress, that's it. Here I can lift my arms up. So if this was a little shorter, I could dance in it. At the moment, the length is slightly too long, but this is very much a toile. It's my Fabric Wheel of Fate fabric. This was spin number 5 of 6, and it's a Lady McElroy. It's the Cobra corsage with snakes and bugs on it, and I bought it because I bought a remnant which I used to line this jacket, and I really loved it. So I bought enough to make a dress, and then I think you can have too much of a good thing. I think this is more of an autumn colour. I'm a winter, and I can get away with it. It's fine, and I quite like it. My husband looked, he said, I love the dress. Not sure about the colour. It's not a very summery colour, but it might be quite nice for evenings, well, for winter. But yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So I have this lovely coordinating jacket, and this has been washed several times, so I've made it in a viscose challis, and it does wash really well, and the colours don't run, which you can tell because it's not, there's not been a problem with bleeding. This is also this lightweight denim. I think it's a 10 ounce denim, stretch denim. This is also a Lady McElroy trowel, it's called. TROWELL, and I have my Largo cargos in this, and I have some more. It was a seconds fabric. It had some blue splodges on it, and they're washed out, and it's perfect. So yes, it's nice to wear these. I feel they go nice together, it's the Sew Over It Sorrento jacket. They go nicely together, and I really feel completely comfortable in it today. So yeah, bonus, nice dress. Even if I only wear it at home, I'm sure I'll wear it out. I like it, and I'm happier with the colour now I'm wearing it than I was before I started. So that's all good. So that's what I'm wearing today. And I'm going to go on now and tell you about the next fabric in the Fabric Wheel of Fate, and then I'm going to open my Specky Seamstress labels. So this is, it wasn't spin number 6, it's just the 6th fabric, it's the last one that's left. And I bought this from, can't remember where I got this from, might have been from Sherwood's, might have been Minerva. I've had it ages, and when I bought it because it was a knit and it was quilted, and you don't see that very often. You might not be able to see it so well because it's black. I'll just hold it up over my shoulder. Whoops. Black's supposed to be one of my colours. I don't tend to wear it as much as I did when I was working. But my plan is to make some kind of sweatshirt from this. It's a bit out of season, but by by the time we get to July and August, it'll probably be freezing cold and raining here in the UK. So I'm sure it'll find its place. So my Me Made May pledge is to make sportswear and underwear. This is going to be a sportswear top, or that style of top. So some kind, and I'm probably going to use a pattern I've not done before. So it's a polyester. I don't think it's got any viscose in it, just feels like a polyester. It's quite soft, but it will be quite warm because of that. And hopefully it will wear okay. But I quite like the look of it. I very rarely buy polyester. It's really unusual. And I've probably had that. That's been in my stash at least 3 years. And I've probably not made it up because it's polyester. Is that slightly bonkers? Anyway, there we go. So I'm quite looking forward to working with that nice textured fabric. It'll be fun. It'll be good to do something different. I've done lots of new to me patterns recently. I did the Curso top, I did the Loddon pants, I did the Rhapsody blouse, I've done this Roseclair dress. So all the last few makes I've done have all been new, which makes them it takes longer, I think, when it's a new to you pattern. So there we are. So let's have a little break from my sewing. Open. I've covered up the address, so I'm not going to be trying to blur it out afterwards. So this is the Label Collective, and it's my subscription, my only subscription box, because I'm just stingy, I think. Yeah, my only subscription buy from the Specky Seamstress. Very affordable. Oh, I like that. Speedy make and some bees. Oh, I like the bees. And it's nice that it's black and yellow. So I quite like the darker labels. They're good in, I could put a black one in here. I think in this dress it says Iconic, which was one of my recent Specky Seamstress labels. And I just used the small one because there's no yoke or anything on this, and I didn't want it to irritate my skin. But they're nice, these, they're not sharp or anything. And they're all made from recycled bottles. The packaging is fully compostable, the paper recyclable, the cellophane compostable, the labels are made from recycled polyester fibres, and all the packaging is recyclable. So win-win. I'll pop a photograph of those, then because you won't have seen them very well, but I'll pop a photograph up one side or the other, whichever looks the best when I'm editing. Okay, so on to the new technique I learned while I was making my Roseclair dress. There's a lot of gathering because it has tiers. So normally if I'm gathering for a sleeve head, and for these sleeve heads, I would do my double row of basting stitches on about 4mm length, gather them up and ease in the shoulder, or if it's gathered, sew in the gathers. The same for a waistband normally, if it's a gathered waist. But I saw on Alison's vlogs, so like Dottie, now it was a while ago, it was before she became an ambassador for Babylock. It might have been when she got her first Babylock Overlocker, but she certainly had been given by Drummond's when she'd got the machine. She certainly had some feet for it, and I was quite interested, and she was demonstrating gathering with her overlocker. Now I have the B64 Airlock Bonnet. Now Bernina Bonnet are their budget range. They're designed by Bernina, so they have things like the knee lift, but they're made by a different company. I couldn't tell you who makes them, but it's a very robust, very solid machine, does everything I could ask for. Although I must admit, I've got a cover stitch envy, Alison. If you ever see this, you probably won't, but there we go. But inspired by Alison, when Quilt Direct had a sale on, I bought a set of feet for my overlocker. So you get 5 feet and a little booklet on how to use them. There's a blind stitch foot, an elasticator foot, a sequin and beading foot, not sure I'll ever use that, a cording foot, which I was very interested in, and a gathering foot. And that was really why I bought it. And it has 2 different levels on the foot, and I'll show this in more detail in close-ups. It has 2 layers, and you can gather onto a layer of fabric. So this sits on the bottom layer and gathers it up, uses a differential feed of the machine, and then the top layer is where the straight fabric goes, and it sews it to that. And that's how I gathered these tiers. Now I had to have a little bit of practice because I'd not done it before. In fact, the whole thing, when I looked in here, the whole idea of it terrified me. You know, putting the new spring into the foot. But you get a little booklet and it shows you how to do it. It's idiot-proof diagrams. Even I could follow them. So it was very straightforward. And it only took me, I don't know, after the first go, when I'd fiddled around for a while learning how to do it, and you can't really get it wrong, to be honest. After the first go, you know, once I was doing the actual gathering, it only took me maybe a minute to swap the feet and the spring over. It was really quick and easy. And what I hadn't done, I'd done all of the first tier, and I was ready to gather those on. And I swapped the feet, and then I gathered them on, but I hadn't sewn the second layer together, so I had to get out, swap back to my standard foot to overlock that before I could then swap back again. And I thought, oh God, I have to do it all over again. But actually, it was so quick. I was thinking, well, why was I worried about doing that? So I had lots of practice. I have some scraps of fabric here. They're a bit crumpled, sorry about that. So I had lots of offcuts of strips, and I practiced gathering them on until I was happy that I knew kind of how the fabric would behave. I did this one the wrong way around, as you can see, but it didn't matter. What I was looking at was the amount of fabric that I was gathering onto, and then what length of fabric, how much of this length of fabric got gathered in. Is that making sense? It does to me. So, and I kept slashing my fabric and then using the next bit. So that's why these really are little bits. And you know, I cut this bit off and used the rest of the fabric to do another layer. So this one's more gathered, and I was experimenting on the stitch length and on the amount of differential feed, and that varies the amount of gathering. But when I finally decided I'd done enough practicing and I was ready to have a go on the actual tiers, and I did think to myself, well, if it all goes wrong, I'll just unpick it. Then I had, there are lines that you line up, lines A, lines B, lines C, lines D, depending which bit of the gathering you're doing. And I also had the centre back, the centre of the piece, to judge against. So what they ask you to do is to gather in until the lines meet. So it was quite easy to adjust slightly, make minor adjustments as I was sewing to kind of get them almost, I didn't quite manage to get them perfectly together, but I did manage to get the fabric level at the end. So overall, that will be my go-to way of gathering tiers, because it does the gathering and the finishing all in one go. So it does the overlocking and the gathering of the gathered bit onto the I could even show you the right way around, look. It shows you the flat fabric and the gathering onto it, and I'll put a photograph so you can see it a bit more clearly, and it's all finished. So that's what the back looks like, all in one pass. So quick, really quick, really easy. I'm so pleased that I know to do that. Oh, game changer. So I'll still do sleeves with basting and little bits like this. I shan't be doing this on my overlocker. And anywhere where you're, you know, gathering little small bits, I'll still do the traditional method. But for gathering tiers onto a tiered dress, yeah, so quick. It just took me a little while to learn how to do it, get the techniques, so I wasn't scared of it. So I've done a little technical video which will follow this vlog. It is time stamped, so if you want to see it, and you'll be able to go directly to it. If you don't want to see it, that's absolutely fine. And it will just show you how I put the foot on my machine. It'll show you my overlocker, how the differential and stitch length bits alter the amount of gather, and then some footage of me actually doing it. So yeah, and I'll pop, as I say, I'll pop close-ups in of the feet. So I hope that's been interesting. I think you can just gather. I'll have a little go at just gathering with the standard foot, and then you can see if that's something you might be able to do if you don't have feet, or if my old overlocker, I changed my overlocker around the lockdown period. It was when I got my new sewing machine. I'd started sewing garments, and I decided that I really wanted an overlocker with a differential feed. And then quite recently I bought my cover stitch, last year or the year before, much more recently. So I've had this overlocker about 5 years, I think, roughly. And I'm really pleased with it. At the time I bought it, I didn't know you can get feet for it. I didn't know such a thing existed. I've no idea what availability for feet is like, because my old Frister and Rossmann didn't have a differential feed. Then you couldn't use them for that machine anyway. But what I will do is just have a little play. I think it will gather without the gathering foot anyway. What the gathering foot allows you to do is to do the 2 layers in the one pass. But you could gather and gather and overlock and then sew on. So I will look at that and show you, because that might be something that if you don't want to go to the expense of buying feet, or you don't have the feet already, because they're not cheap. I think even in the sale these were over £100 for the 5, which is about right, £20 each, I suppose. There'll be some of these feet will never ever be used. But yeah, so I'll put a little bit of that also in the technical video, which follows this. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming back. If you're a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, it'd be lovely to have you along, so do consider it. It's free, doesn't cost a penny. And yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. It's beautiful. If you're in the UK, enjoy. It's gonna be a scorcher. Bye bye. So here we have my Bernette B64 airlock. When I do the actual overlocking, I will turn the volume down. So I'll turn otherwise it'll be very noisy. So I'll try and edit out the volume when I'm actually using the overlocker. So I've got my new filming setup with my boom arm, so hopefully this is much clearer than when I've been demonstrating stuff on machines before. So I'm just going to lift up the press foot and just get the needles out of the way. And we can see at the moment I've got the standard foot on there, and I'm just going to take a little bit of scrap fabric and see how well it gathers just on the standard foot. It's not a very neat piece of fabric, but I don't think that will matter. So I'll just pop this under and we'll see what we can do with the adjustment. Let's have a little look, see if we can get that to gather up. This is a standard overlocker foot. The blade is on and we've got gathering happening. Now that's with the differential feed on maximum, and I've got a reasonable gather there. I don't know how well you can see that. I think that's quite a good gather with the standard foot and the differential feed on maximum. It's probably not as gathered as I might be able to just try it with a longer stitch length and see if that improves the amount it gathers. Because when I'm using the foot, the gathering foot, they recommend that the longer the stitch length, the more gathering you get. So let's just try it. This is the maximum stitch length and the maximum differential feed. Blade is on, and away we go. And we've got significantly more gathering with the longer stitch length. Yeah, very, very good. So that's without any kind of fancy foot. That's the standard foot, maximum stitch, maximum differential feed, and maximum stitch length. And it's really fed through nicely. Obviously you can adjust, if you want less gathering, you can adjust that by just backing off on the stitch length or the differential feed. You can play about with that to get the required amount. Now what you can't do with that is gather it onto another piece of fabric. So for that I'm going to need my gathering foot, but you could just add this, use this technique to do a finish and gather in one go, and then just attach in the regular way your second piece of fabric. So now I need to remove this foot, and I need to undo the foot first. So I've got my little screwdriver here. There we go. To take that screw all the way out, won't come off without it. So this is my presser foot. So it has a little switch at the back here, and then this bit is the standard foot, and this is the long spring. Now the gathering foot requires a shorter spring. That's the gathering foot. That's what I'm going to attach. This is the little bit below, that's where the top fabric goes in there, and the bottom fabric goes underneath. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the foot from the bottom of here. So that's very easy. And then I need to take the spring off, and the spring just rests on this little knob here. So I just ease it off there, and then it comes away. So it's as easy as that. Very, very easy to do. This is the short spring. So what I need to do with this is slide that on there. I'm working through the camera here, and then it goes over that little bump. This one is tighter because it's shorter. There we go, ease it onto there. So that's my short spring. Now I need to attach the gathering. Oh, that's the standard foot. There's my gathering foot. There it is. Put the right foot on. I need to attach the gathering foot, which is, it just goes onto there, and just press the little button at the back and make sure it's in place. Oops. Yeah, that's all done. That didn't take long, did it? So that's all ready to go, and then that has to screw back on to here. So how long was that? Not long, probably a minute and a half maybe. perhaps 2 minutes, with including screwing and unscrewing, maybe 3, but it's, you know, in the great scheme of things, it's a negligible amount of time, I think. Oh, got a bit of thread stuck in there. I'll get it out when I swap the thing over later. I think that'll matter. There we go. Okay, so I've got my foot in place. So what happens now, I have my 2 pieces of fabric, I need to put them right sides together. The shorter length of fabric goes at the top here, goes at the top, and the longer length that I'm gathering onto it goes at the bottom. So I'm doing right sides together, so I'm going to start off by putting the bottom one in. So this one is going to be the one that gathers, and I found that by lifting this up I could get a better, okay, I could get a better thing on there. And then this is my piece of fabric that isn't going to be gathered, going onto the top bit. So I used my purple fang to just get these into the right position. And the other thing I found when I was doing the actual gathering was I could just line those up. I just had to keep an eye on that. So it's going to be a bit noisy again now, so I will, and then I just guided those through separately, and a couple of stitches will just lock that into place. There we go. Now it's on, I'm keeping it on maximum at the moment just so that you can see the difference in the gathering with the foot in place. Oops, I've not made a very good job cutting that out. Now just bear in mind that these were not very neat pieces of fabric to start with, so they're not going to be the best. I'm just going to zoom out. There we go, that's a bit easier for you to see. So that's the gathering with the gathering foot, and you can see it's gathered it onto the plain fabric, and it's done that really neatly all the way up to where I hadn't cut the fabric straight. It does help if you've got, these are just scraps that were left, so it's done it really neatly all the way up to where there was a jink in the fabric, because I'd just chopped a bit off. There we go, so that's done really neatly, and doing the whole of the tier was ever so easy, as easy as that. So there we go, that's how you gather with your overlocker if you have a differential feed, and that's how you gather and attach 2 pieces of fabric together if you have a gathering foot, if there's one available for your overlocker. If you have any questions, pop them below. Have a lovely weekend. Bye bye.